This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Humanity to man. Then one lone man added a second such term, gulag, which now appears in dictionaries as a common noun. Solzhenitsyn was one of the precious few who did anticipate the demise of the Soviet experiment, and he thought his book would help. Oh yes, Gulag was destined to affect the course of history. I was sure of that. On one of his darkest days, February 12, 1974, the day before he was forced into exile, and precisely because Gulag had appeared in the West, he mused, "You Bolsheviks are finished. There are no two ways about it." What satisfaction he felt, then, when some early reviews, such as one from the Frankfurter Allgemeine, a leading German newspaper, caught his intentions. The time may come when we date the beginning of the collapse of the Soviet system from the appearance of Gulag. American diplomat and scholar George F. Kennan hailed the work as the greatest and most powerful single indictment of a political regime ever to be leveled in modern times, one sure to stick in the craw of the Soviet propaganda machine with increasing discomfort until it has done its work. Solzhenitsyn has proven prescient on other matters as well. Not only did he reiterate, in the teeth of the prevailing opinion of Western specialists on Soviet affairs, that he was absolutely convinced that communism will go, he also insisted most resolutely and against all seeming reason that he expected to be reunited with his beloved Russia. In a strange way, I not only hope, I am inwardly convinced that I shall go back. I mean my physical return, not just my books, and that contradicts all rationality. His improbable prerequisites were that his citizenship be restored, that the charge of treason against him be dropped, and that all his books be published in his homeland. After his prophecies were fulfilled, a friend of his reminisced, "It seemed crazy to me at the time, but it was a real conviction, a poet's knowledge. He sees. The man sees." However historians ultimately apportion the credit for ending the Cold War, Solzhenitsyn indubitably played a part in bringing the Soviet edifice down to rubble. His writings delegitimized communism in his homeland and discredited it abroad. He was much too modest in depicting himself as a little calf foolishly butting a mighty oak and thinking this could bring it down. As David Remnick, editor of The New Yorker, declares, "In terms of the effect he has had in history, Solzhenitsyn is the dominant writer of this century. Who else compares? Orwell? Köstler?" Remnick concludes that, to some extent, you have to credit the literary works of Alexander Solzhenitsyn with helping to bring down the last empire on earth. It might be supposed that if Solzhenitsyn won his argument with history, or even precisely because he did win it, his relevance is now over. But that would be to presuppose that we have successfully come to terms with the 20th century and have learned its lessons well. Unfortunately, if understandably, civilized society, after the brief euphoria of 1989 to 91, has generally averted its gaze from the dreadful record. As one former denizen of the Gulag, Lev Razgon, put it, people are tired of the past. A review of Solzhenitsyn's record will highlight the historical impact of two of his books. When One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich appeared in 1962, the world's attention was drawn to the cruelty of the Soviet Gulag. At a stroke, a hitherto unknown high school teacher of mathematics and physics was catapulted into newspaper headlines around the globe. In retrospect, that novella can be seen as the first